Let's talk about Courtney. So Courtney appeared recently on Kelly Mantle's show. She be getting the good interviews, by the way, and spilled some tea in regards to why RuPaul apparently blocked her over after going at her over a situation that happened on the show. So if people don't realize what happened, there was a segment that they did during her season, with her and Bianca Del Rio. That was like the Mount. I feel like that was could be called the Mount Rushmore of seasons. So they had the best cast on there. You had Courtney Act, you had Bianca Del Rio, you had Alaska, you had who else? Adore Delano. You had what's Kelly Mantle on that show too? Um, there was a lot of strong queens. Laganja Estrada. Oh, you had her on the show. But there was like that was the a strong season. Wait, isn't current season? No, wait, no, that wasn't season. She wasn't on season. What season was she on? Why am I drawing a blank? Was she on season 5 or she was on season 6? Like, why am I forgetting what season that um Miss Girl was on? So yeah, so it's literally been over 10 years, I should say this, since RuPaul basically told Courtney Act to not rest on Pretty, but it looked like RuPaul is resting on Petty because there was a segment that they did on the show where they did, okay, that was, I think that might have been the season. So it was like female or she-male. I don't know if y'all remember that, but they had these little paddles that they held up where it was like, you look at a picture, one identify is it a female or a she-male? Which here's the thing. Okay, it was season 6. Thank you. I knew I was right with the whole Bianca Del Rio and all of a sudden. How am I all of a sudden I'm getting my seasons confused? So season 6, no, season 5 was what Alaska was on. Season 6 is with Bianca. Anyway, so they had on the paddle, that sort of thing. And I guess the girls was all I don't even remember that episode because it was during the season. But if you try to watch reruns, it's not there no more. So when the episode aired, it started a whole outrage. People were upset, and Courtney said that she wrote like a little Facebook post or whatever the case was, where she was like, "I'm grateful for the show, whatever," but was condemning Rue and them for putting something like this up there. Because don't get me wrong, I love the "ooh girl, you got she-mail" because to me it was a play on Tyra Mail, which is where they got that from. And I understand you were doing the she-mail tranny, like they were using tranny checks. Like RuPaul is notorious for having trans songs on his earlier stuff, which was edgy at the time. That was like during the Red Hot era and all that other stuff. But looking at it now, people look at it as it's transphobic. But we get it. It's like jokey. He don't take things seriously. It's a play on words. That's the way the older generation looks at it. The newer generation is very much more politically correct, blah, 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 whatever. So Courtney was asked about it and by Kelly Mantle, and she spilled the tea on what happened. So we have the clip. So let's go. I just want to set all that up before we got to it. And hopefully we don't get no ads or whatever that's playing in it. So we'll go back and we'll talk. Please hold.
You talk about the relationship with World of Wonder. So it was how long after season 6 was it that RuPaul blocked you on Twitter?
It wasn't that long. And I think it was around the time there was a conversation, there was a challenge on season 6 where we had to hold off a paddle that said female or she-male, which has actually been edited out of, it went to broadcast
on streaming,
but it's now been edited out of streaming, where we were shown pictures of cis women and trans women, but like close-ups. And we had to hold up a paddle being like, is this a female or a she-male?
I remember that.
And then that sparked a conversation about the T-slur. And then Rue kind of at that point doubled down and said, if you're worried about me calling you a word, then you've got bigger problems. And I was like, oh, here's a great opportunity. RuPaul's going to really respect this. I'm going to like write a Facebook post, very thoughtful, send it to my manager, like got some edits to take out the temperature and make sure that it was open and just saying like, oh, I agree in some ways. Like, I think trans people do have bigger problems than just a word. And I feel like we should be listening to them and focusing on this is the part where I paint myself as an angel in this story, by the way. Talk about some of the other issues about like homelessness and violence and all of these other metrics that trans people have to struggle with in the real world that aren't the same for other LGBTQ brothers, sisters, and non-binary folk.
Right.
And I thought, like, I was like, this is really thoughtful. Rue's going to really appreciate me engaging in intelligent conversation rather than just internet slander. Blocked.
Girl, she did a TLDR, too long did not read.
Very that.
Blocked.
But then I actually kind of understand. And you know what's weird is that I wouldn't say it's a recurring dream, but it is a dream that has recurred. And I had it kind of recently. I was with a friend and we were doing a hike and we'd taken magic mushrooms as well. So I feel like the brain is extra open.
Tuned in.
And on the walk back from the hike, we were talking, Drag Race came up. And so I was talking about it all. And I went to bed that night and I had this dream. And in the dream, Rue and I were friends and we were like hanging out. And I was like, oh, actually, do you know what? I always knew this. Like I knew that we would like each other if we were just like hanging out and having a good time. I feel like something happened somewhere where everything got mixed up. And I even remember in the dream going, is this a dream? This feels like and I was like, let me just check, ask somebody, am I having a dream right now? And they're like, no, girl, this is real. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad. I felt this like sense of relief and comfort knowing that I had been like laid to rest. And then I woke up and I was like, I felt so ripped off because I even thought, is this a dream? And double checked inside the dream. But
so is that's obviously something that you wish could and would happen.
I think so.
At some point, yeah.
I think life's too short to bother. I mean, I think RuPaul thinks life is too short to bother.
Right.
But I think...
Did she ever unblock you? Or I mean,
she did.
Oh, actually, she did?
Yeah.
Okay. Then there was a gesture there of like...
There was a gesture, but there was also a message that came with the gesture.
Oh, what did it
Which
say?
was, I think I've talked about this, or maybe I wrote about it in the book. Todrick Hall and I were filming some videos together. And I told him about the blocking and he was like, this must be a mistake. Let me message Rue. Rue called him. And Todrick was on the phone to Rue for about an hour.
What?
Just pacing back and forth outside the room. And I was sitting there like...
Oh, I didn't know anything about this.
And Todrick came in and he was like, well, it wasn't an accident that she blocked you.
Oh my God.
And she knows that we're friends. And so she asked that I don't go into the details, but she did say that I could tell you, I just don't like you. And I was
Are you serious, Courtney? I did not know this.
And then I got unblocked, but
That's weird. Why would you get unblocked after a message like that, I wonder?
In a weird way, like this is the 12 years later sort of mature version of me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I kind of get it. Like it's 2014. You're just trying to do good in the world. You're giving these queens opportunities. You're putting them on television. You're giving them a leg up in the world. And then those little bitches go around and like criticize you for like some detail of this or some detail of that whilst there's an internet pylon going on. And,
right.
And that was kind of the thing of like, I guess biting the hand that feeds you. And there's a fine line between not being open to criticism and biting the hand that feeds you. But I mean, I genuinely, and I think like that dream in a weird way, as much as it's my subconscious maybe desiring that to happen, I think it's also my subconscious resolving sort of a sense of peace with that and saying a little bit like, you don't like me, that's fine, but I like you. And I do admire, look up to, I'm able to separate the art and the artists and actually see it for what it was.
Exactly.
Okay. So I feel like we got the point at this point. But to me, it's just like, yeah, I get it. On one hand, it's like you're creating this opportunity for the queens to come in and to have a platform where they can be just as successful as a RuPaul. And RuPaul is also, out of all of the girls, benefiting the most from doing this show. But the show is not above criticism. And the fact of the matter is that people are saying that they find this stuff offensive, and then Ru's like, oh, it's just words. Okay, well, somebody called you out of your name and said some negative thing, because I always know y'all always try to do the what people think of me is none of my business, and whatever phrase you want to use, that Ru always got these little isms that he likes to run around with. But you can't expect other people to follow that same mantra. That's not how people work in that way. So if people like Carmen Carrera and a bunch of other girls was feeling like this whole segment was an issue, or you saying you got she-male or whatever the case, and they're criticizing that, I mean, I think on one hand the fans are happy that we have someone in the fan, in the drag race world that's speaking up. And in a way, it's like, yeah, it's biting the hand that feeds you, because, yeah, I got these opportunities. But here's the thing. No one is beyond reproach, I think, is what I want to say about all of this. It's like, yeah, I appreciate that you've given me a platform. I appreciate that you've given me opportunities. But still, it doesn't mean that I should just expect disrespect. I shouldn't have to put up with disrespect because this show was giving me an opportunity, and you're saying you're playing a game that's offensive to trans people, where it's like, clock this, who's a trans and who's not a trans, especially when back then, I don't think it was that bad, but especially we're in a time now where trans people are consistently being bashed and take their lives taken, or constantly harassed by people out here because they believe a lot of the transphobic rhetoric that so many people be trying to put up on social media with they stupid ass think pieces. I just saw some fat bitch with no neck recently that T.S. Madison posted on her page, trying to go into my, you are a man, and it's that, it's like, and you a bitch who can't get no love from a cisgendered male, but you up in here worrying about what the trans girls is doing. So be open to listen to criticism. But to me, it always seemed like Ru was never that type of person that could be open to that. Because remember when they gathered his ass when he did that interview with The Guardian, and was talking about the difference between people like, say, a Trinity the Tuck or a Detox, who Detox ended up coming out trans later on. But a lot of the girls who go and get enhancement put in their body so that way they can have feminine features, or like Akira Davenport, where they have feminine features so that way they don't have to pad like the old school drag queens would do. They sit up in there and they put all the padding and all the other stuff on to give the illusion that they're a woman. The girls these days, they're going out getting all kinds of shit injected in their ass and everywhere else, so that way it gives them that quick, I could just put everything here, there, and everywhere, so that way I can have my feminine situation situated. But then again, Akira did say that once upon a time she flirted with being trans and then realized that she wasn't. But we should also respect our trans people too, because if it wasn't for a lot of the trans people in our community, people would, gays wouldn't have the rights that they have today. Shout out to Sylvia Rivera and Marsha P. Johnson, who were the pioneers in the gay rights movement and being two trans women of color. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? If you definitely want to see the rest of the Courtney Act interview, definitely head over to Kelly Mantle's channel over on YouTube and watch the rest of the interview, because it was a really good interview. So, and she always gets good interviews, and doesn't have to be messy in order to get good tea. It's just have a conversation and you'll get the stuff given to you. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.